Hello, and welcome to English Podcast Academy, an educational English podcast where we help English learners improve their listening and reading comprehension skills. I'm Becca, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Ron and Jessica. Today, we'll be sharing a story a lot of you might find relevant from a listener who's caught in a family conflict with her fiancé's dad's wife, and then we'll discuss our thoughts on the situation.
Agreed. This story will probably be relevant to a lot of our listeners, and I expect to see some interesting responses in the comments.
Yes, and there are special family dynamics involved that will come into play, as everyone will see.
Let's dive in. Let's call this story Family Boundaries and Wedding Drama, Who's in the Wrong? Our speaker, a woman in her mid-20s named Sarah, works as a graphic designer and has been with her fiancé, Daniel, for about 5 years. Sarah's life hasn't been easy. She was adopted at a young age after being in foster care, so family bonds are very important to her. Both her adoptive parents, who she deeply loved, passed away unexpectedly 3 years ago. Sarah and Daniel are in the middle of planning their wedding, set to take place in a cozy, rustic barn they rented. They both live in a small apartment, trying to save up for a house. They also have a rescue dog named Luna, who brings them a lot of comfort. Daniel works in IT, and he's close to his 2 older sisters, Megan and Anna, who are very supportive of the wedding plans. Daniel's father remarried a woman named Sheila about a year after Daniel's mother died. Sheila has always tried to fill the role of mom for Daniel and his sisters, even though they never wanted this. She's been somewhat overbearing since they were children, trying to make the family her own. When Daniel refused her request to be more involved in the wedding, like walking him down the aisle or dancing with him, she went to Sarah and tried to manipulate her by saying that family isn't just blood, you should know being adopted yourself, hoping Sarah would convince Daniel. Sarah, protective of her fiancé and hurt by Sheila's approach, told Sheila to stop pressuring Daniel. Sheila got angry and accused Sarah of being a bad daughter-in-law and demanded an apology. Now, Sarah is torn. Should she apologize for the sake of peace or stand her ground?
Wow, Becca, that was quite a story. I think Sheila's clearly crossing boundaries, and her choice to use Sarah's adoption as leverage is just wrong. Personally, I don't think Sarah should apologize. Sheila is the one who owes an apology here.
Right, Ron. Family is about more than just titles. I actually had a similar situation at my wedding with my aunt. She was always like a second mom to me and wanted to be front and center, even though I already had my mom there. She insisted on planning the whole thing, even though I didn't want that. It led to a lot of tension, and I ended up letting her help, but in a smaller way. It's tricky, but boundaries are important.
That's a good point, Jessica. And I think it's a bit different here, since Sheila is an in-law who isn't necessarily close to Daniel or his sisters. When someone forces themselves into a role you didn't ask them to fill, it can feel disrespectful. I can understand Sarah standing her ground. She's protecting her fiancé's wishes.
Absolutely. It's all about respecting personal boundaries. I remember a time when my sister got married, and our cousin tried to take over the maid of honor role. She started planning things as if she was running the wedding. Eventually, my sister had to have a tough conversation with her and let her know she needed to step back. Sometimes these conversations are necessary, even if they feel uncomfortable.
That's such a great example, Ron. It's so common for people to feel they have a right to certain roles or decisions in family events. But this is Sarah and Daniel's wedding, and it's up to them to decide who participates and how.
Exactly. And I think Sarah's past, being adopted and then losing her parents, has probably made her fiercely protective of the family she's chosen. The way Sheila tried to guilt her into persuading Daniel was a low blow.
Yes. Sheila trying to manipulate her through her adoption is too much. Family is what you make it, and it's pretty clear Sarah and Daniel have a strong sense of loyalty to each other. I think it shows a lot about Sarah's character that she's willing to stand up to Sheila to protect her fiancé's wishes.
And, for Daniel, having his sisters walk him down the aisle and dance with him feels like a beautiful way to honor the close relationship they've built, especially since they lost their mother. Maybe Sheila doesn't understand that it's not about her, it's about honoring Daniel's family in a way that feels right to him.
Well said, Jessica. This isn't about leaving anyone out, it's about honoring what's important to them as a couple. Sheila might just feel left out, but pushing like this won't make anyone feel closer.
So, audience, we'd love to know your thoughts on this. Here are a few questions to think about. If you were Sarah, would you stand your ground or apologize to keep the peace? Do you think there's a way for Sheila to be involved that feels respectful to everyone? If so, what would that look like? Have you ever had a family member overstep boundaries during a big life event? How did you handle it?
Here's another one for you. Do you believe family events should accommodate everyone's feelings? Or should they be more focused on the main people involved, like the couple in a wedding? Where's the line between being inclusive and respecting boundaries?
And I'll add to that, how do you think Daniel should handle Sheila moving forward? Should he set firmer boundaries with her to prevent future conflicts? We'd love to hear your take on that.
Thanks for listening to English Podcast Academy. Remember to share your thoughts with us in the comments. We'll see you next time for another interesting story and discussion.
Thanks for tuning in.
See you next time.